Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4. My name is Ludwig Charanis, and I'm joined here by my colleague Justin Bartlett. Today, we have a very special guest coming all the way from Arizona, Dr. Fanya Lin. Welcome, Dr. Fanya.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You are the right lady for this job. For those listeners that are just tuning in, this podcast is all about promoting and understanding contemporary music. What is contemporary music? How do you play it? How do you find it? And so we're going to be talking with Fanya today about this exact topic. Now, for those that don't know Fanya, she's an associate professor of practice at the University of Arizona. She's performed right throughout the world. She's an award-winning pianist. But what's interesting about her is she's always constantly looking for ways to engage with the audience and make the experience even more interactive. She's also a philanthropist, collaborates with various nonprofit organizations to create access for education and promote mental health awareness. But more excitingly, she's also very dedicated to playing new music and performing contemporary music with organizations such as Focus and Axiom. Now, I'm sure we've just scratched the surface for Fanya, so we're going to let her unleash exactly what she does. But Fanya, I thought we'd just start with this question for you. What attracts you to contemporary music?
Great. So the first time that I really started learning and playing contemporary music was actually through two competitions. So I was participating in piano arts as well as New York International Piano Competition, and both competitions required the pianists, the participants, to learn contemporary music. For piano arts, you can choose your own contemporary music, and on top of playing them at the competition, you have to prepare a speech and talk about the contemporary music and interact with the audience. It's graded as well as part of the points for your competition. So I thought that was a very interesting kind of like a perspective to learning contemporary music. And that was my first experience with it. And when I was competing for the New York International Piano Competition, they actually have commissioned a piece for contemporary composers where all the participants will have to learn their music. And so the year that I was competing, I learned Avner Dorman's Piano Sonata Number 2. And so those are the first two experiences that I had learning contemporary music. And I just really enjoy doing that because a lot of the times when we learn classical music, we play traditional repertoire. We play Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, Chopin, and we're always wondering what the composer is trying to say. And we, as pianists or performers, almost are serving as translators, trying to translate what's in the score to the audience. But the fun thing and most exciting thing about playing contemporary music is that you don't have to guess. You can actually have a conversation with the composers, and you can ask them questions, you can pick their brains, and you can really talk to them and discuss with them what they mean or what they're trying to convey. And I just thought that's a really unique and also refreshing approach to classical music.
That's so great. I especially love the idea that the competition had you talking about the contemporary music,
Yes.
because we hear a lot of performers tackling, trying to understand the music. But so when you had to speak about it, what were you focusing on? Was it your conversation based with the composer, or were
I
they
think
your own reflections?
I think a little bit of both. Just from the score, you can find a pattern of the composer's compositional language. And so I usually start from there, from what's known to me in a way. And if there are any places that I am uncertain, I would do research and see what I could find, whether it's about the composer's background, his or her compositional style, and or if there's any particular story stories when this composer was composing the program. And sometimes I would actually talk about my own journey when I was learning about this piece, what inspired me to learn this piece, pick this piece, and what are some of the challenges that I encountered when I was learning the piece. And I found that audience usually really enjoy learning about that. A lot of the times for me, it's probably difficult for audience without a classical music background to understand contemporary music, and they might not know what to focus on when they're listening or what the composer is trying to express. And sometimes I find it a little bit easier for the audience to feel engaged if you have some of the kind of the roadmap for them to keep track of where they are, and as they're listening for the music, what they can focus on. And that really helps with understanding the contemporary music more.
That's interesting, that you get actually to work with the composers. So you wonder, oh, what do they mean by this marking here, and then you can actually talk with them about it. Do you feel in that sense that it's a bit more of a collaborative process? Have there been instances where your feedback or the way you're interpreting something actually changed how the composer notated or talked about their composition?
Definitely. So my most of my recent projects actually include actually working with composers, and so I would share maybe three of them. One of them is me and my piano duo partner, Dr. Daniel Linder, who is also a pianist and an associate professor of practice at the University of Arizona. The two of us play a lot of contemporary two piano or piano for hands music. And so we actually commissioned a piece by our colleague, Dr. Kei He, the composer, to compose a piece for us. So it's actually a piece for us to perform, to play, and to record. And so it was a lot of fun because she was able to kind of ask us, what are you looking for? What are you trying to do with this performance? And so it's definitely the sense of collaboration. And also, she would ask us to kind of read through the score before it was finalized to see if the technical spots make sense and if it's something that we envisioned we can do. And so there's definitely the sense of collaboration, and I really enjoy working with Dr. He with this project. And another project that we did is as the co-directors of the Trester Festival for Latin American music, we're really trying to promote Latin American music because here in University of Arizona, we are a Hispanic serving institute. And so we were able to perform Tanya Leon's Satine. And so it was during COVID, and we were performing this piece in London, actually. And prior to our performances, we did a Zoom session with composer Tanya Leon. So it was great to be able to chat with her, to play for her, and gain feedback from her. And so sometimes she would tell us, okay, so this section is more like a palm tree, or you have to feel the jazzy rhythm within all the cluster chords. And so that just really helped us to understand the meaning behind it and also the pattern behind it. And I thought it's just a lot of fun. And another recent project that I had was recording while the composer was actually in the recording studio while I was recording his piece. And this is called the Metropolis. It's a piano sonata. And so there's a lot of instant feedback on rhythm or articulation or dynamic or characters. And so it just adds so much nuance into your recording session as well. So those are probably three of the most memorable experience that I have. And very recent, it's all within this couple years working with composers.
Mm. And I bet that kind of collaborative approach, and that open mindedness you have when talking with composers, it probably informs the way you look at the rest of the repertoire, or more traditional repertoire, or even the way you teach it. Um, just to know that there's that kind of flexibility and openness on the other end.
Yes, definitely. And I think it's so important to musicians that when we're playing more traditional repertoire, we don't think about this aspect a lot. But actually, it's more a conversation with the composer sometimes. And so, even when I approach traditional repertoire now, I would try to imagine if I could converse with the composer, like what should I adjust, or what might be something that I could experiment on. So it definitely gives you a more creative, innovative, and experimental approach towards music and towards score.
One of the things then that I can imagine, there's so much contemporary music out there, and then as a teacher, a lot of the students that you'll get, even at university level, many of them may have come in not playing much contemporary music. They'll have a set of their prelude and fugues, their etudes, their sonatas, the stable, right? So how do you, as a teacher, then go ahead and introduce contemporary music to your students? Is it to do with their level? Or are you daring and throw them in the deep end with some, I don't know, some George Crumb or something? How do you approach teaching and introducing contemporary music to your students? Or convincing, yes.
Um,
Furthermore,
so I think a lot of it comes from experience. If their first experience with contemporary music was scary, then that might make them a little bit hesitant in learning the contemporary music. Last academic year, I was actually teaching keyboard literature, so piano literature, at the University of Arizona. So I was able to kind of introduce a lot of contemporary music to the entire class
oh,
of
that's
piano
handy.
students. And I always want to find ways where they could experiment with it or actually hands on do it themselves. So we actually talked a lot about George Crumb, for example, and so I performed Torah, Torah, Torah for them. So I explained how the setting when he was composing it, the inspiration that he had, and it really is not so different from traditional composers. They have their peers, they have their mentors, and a lot of the times they have their models or idols, and that's where they draw the inspiration from. And so you have that to build on top of kind of all those craziness that they might think it's a little bit scary. And the second thing is to really look at the notation itself. So of course George Crumb is known for, like, his macrocosmos, for example, is known for having scores that's rounded, the circle or across, different things. And instead of making it sound like it's scary, you can make them feel like, wow, it's so fun. Then you can use a new way of approaching the score. I remember when I was studying Stockhausen refrain, that was the similar kind of idea that I had as well, because the score is rounded. And so I showed it to my students as well. And I told them that you even have a ruler that has markings on it, and you can place it however you want it. And depending on how you place it there, the notes is going to be different. So you have the almost the power of deciding how you want the music to sound, and that sometimes excites them. And but the next thing is to understand the kind of the cultural background. So of course Torah, Torah, Torah has something to do with the Pearl Harbor attack, for example. And so a lot of the times composers are composing to showcase or to kind of pay tribute to what's happening in the world. And I think as performers, especially nowadays, there are so many things going on in the world. This is a great opportunity and great way to feel connected, to stay connected to the world, and to make a stand or express what you hold values to. And by learning these contemporary music and identifying the music that resonates with you or understanding the background of the composition is really going to help you to be able to express that or achieve that. So a lot of the times, instead of only focusing on the difficult part, think of it as more of a experiment and something fun and something that you can have a different types of control over it. I think that might help the students to be more willing to try some of the contemporary music.
I, I really like this idea that you're searching for a way to make it fun, make it applicable, so that it's not so scary. Um, Do you think this advice that you've just given, or this the story, can apply to our local piano teachers as well, that are
I
teaching children and introducing them to different sounds? Right, they're not playing a minuet anymore. They're now playing like sounds that have a maybe a scary rhythm, something a little different or dissonant. Would it be the same approach, you reckon, Fanya?
I think definitely there's a lot of story aspect or picture aspect that you can include that when you are learning the contemporary music. And one thing that I really like is to find contemporary music that's easier but very different for the students to approach. So, for example, a lot of the times I like to introduce my students who had never had experience in it to play or listen or watch videos of repertoire by Henry Cowell because it's so different in terms of the approach. But then it's fun because you're not playing on the keyboard, you're really playing on the strings or you're using your forearms to play. So the approach itself is so different, but it's not scary or hard to understand because it's still very strong in terms of the characters and the story building. And so hopefully that's easier for them to relate to. And once they have this experience, they might be more open to other more advanced repertoire that they want to explore. But I do think there's always an angle that you can find and try to introduce that to the students, no matter their age.
Hmm, interesting. Yeah. Um, since you perform and you're so involved with contemporary music, have you ever been tempted to compose or improvise yourself?
I am not very good at composing or improvising, so I wouldn't say that I would be tempted to do that. And I believe there are so many great composers and music out there that I'm just really happy learning it all and absorbing it all. However, I actually had my first experience improvising music during a recording studio, during a recording session. So our album, me and my colleague, Dr. Eddie Goodman, he's a saxophone professor, and we just published two of our electronic like EPs, so like recordings. One is called On Walls by Greg Simon, and the other one is Phil Wood's Sonata for alto sax and piano. And so in some of our recording sessions, there's marked out sections where the saxophone and the piano have to just improvise. So that was my first time really just improvising on the spot and just do different things. So if you listen to the recording, it's an improvised session, and each take sound different. So we had to pick which take that we like to include in the recording. So it was definitely a really fun experience. And I would say some of the composers really gives you the lecture, like the luxury of that to be able to improvise. And my colleague, Dr. He, a lot of her composition has that as well. So I definitely think it's a very valuable experience and skill to have. And after all, like Rachmaninoff himself said that you wouldn't be able to understand the creative process if you are not a creator. And so I really believe in like some form of creation in that. I write, and so that's kind of my creative outlet. But I write in words, not in notes. But I know it's a really useful and valuable skills for even for musicians today.
Yeah. Do you have any particular favorite contemporary? Because, like you said, it's such a diverse language. Contemporary
Mhm.
music, everybody has a different style. Do you have any particular favorites or ones that have just been on your mind recently that really inspire you?
I really enjoy learning Crumb's macrocosmos, and I feel like there's a lot of extended technique that makes sense that really enhance the overall kind of texture and also the atmosphere. So I would say Chrome is probably one of my go-to, especially for students, especially college students or university students, if they want to approach something. That's a really good one. And but I really enjoy working with contemporary composers that I can talk to, communicated with. So on top of Tanya Leon, we've also communicated through email with Gabriela Lina Frank, and I like her compositions a lot as well. So far, I've learned all the two piano as well as piano for hands repertoire by Gabriela Lina Frank. So her style really combines a lot of different cultural rhythms and also motifs, elements in Peru, in Latin America, in even sometimes Chinese like. And so I really enjoy almost like you can peek through different cultures through her music, and I really enjoy that. And of course, I really enjoy performing my colleague Dr. Kaher's piece. She is a very creative composer, and a lot of the times she does a lot of multimedia collaborations with dancers, musicians, and pictures, paintings, photography. So I was very fortunate to be part of her previous project called Stellarscape. And so that combined astronomy with other things, music and dancing. And so it's a full on immersive experience. And to be a part of that project, you are able to just experience it as a performer. So that's a lot of fun. I also like ensemble type of contemporary music. So my previous colleague, harp performer, so harpist, Dr. Michelle Gott, she was the one who organized this concert where we played Boulez swing Cis for three pianos, three harps, and three percussion instrumentalists. And so it was a lot of fun to be on stage and you have to focus on so many things going on, and the sound itself is just so different, and you have to learn how to find the cues in everyone's music because it's so much going on, and to find your own way to understand Boulez's language and the rhythm and the constant change of meter. So those are all very, I think, valuable lessons and fun experience. Like we still see the social media posts pop out from like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and to just look at that, and it's just great that we had that opportunity of doing that.
Fanya, I was just gonna say, first of all, you are super inspiring. Like you are everywhere with your music,
I know.
and it right. Do you agree, Justin?
Oh yeah.
It's just even in this short session, and but it makes for a rich life, a rich and colorful life. And the exciting thing is because you're involved in education, you can pass it on to the next generation of students, because it can be very hard to navigate this world of music. Where do you even go? There's just so much to take on, and so I think your role as a guide to our next generation of pianists is very important. But as a closing, for our local piano teachers, obviously we come back to our local piano teachers around the world that are listening. Um, are there any particular websites or books or places that you would recommend for teachers to go to source music? I mean, I know they can go on Google to find contemporary composers, but do you, off the top of your head, have any particular places that you would like to send them, or that they can go
So
and explore?
sure. So the MTNA, the Music Teachers National Association, they
Yeah.
usually have their website usually have a lot of contemporary or underprivileged composers that's
Oh,
listed
great.
out there. So I believe it's mtna.org, but just the
We'll put it
MTNA
on the link.
organization. Yeah. And then
Nice.
also the NCKP, so the National Keyboard let's see, national, well, NCKP, and it's like kind of like the pedagogy platform for pianists as well. Like they would have some of the resources as well. And one thing that I would also suggest is to look up big competitions. So a lot of the international competitions, they actually have commissioned the composers that's working with the competition. So Sydney International Piano Competition, for example, or Van Cliburn, or even just the New York International Piano Competition. So that way you will be able to to have to have the names of the composers in your mind, and you can start searching more detailed compositions through that. So big competitions is a great way. And currently, a lot of the different music schools, they are also starting their own catalog of underrepresented contemporary composers that you can look for. I know our school is starting to do that. And also, I believe Yale and also Juilliard both have a catalog of contemporary composers on their website listed. And so those are all good place to find. For our school, so for the piano area, we host annual festival. It's called Trester Piano Festival for Latin American music, and so we promote a lot of the Latin American works and Latin American composers through our website as well. So a lot of our participants, they have to, for if they want to do a competition, they have to play a Latin American work. And so like if you look at the program for the competitors, you can always find Latin American works on there, and a lot of the times it will be contemporary composers as well.
That's really helpful. That's really helpful. And for
Yeah.
all our listeners, we will contact Fanya again. We'll get some links for these, and so underneath the podcast episode 4, you guys can check these out as well. Because I think navigating through all of this, Fanya, is one of the biggest challenges. And then, but I think once
Like
people
where to
start to find
start.
their right, Justin, yeah, once we all find our feet and we communicate with each other to help each other out, because it's such a thick forest to try and get through, then I think it'll the future is bright for contemporary music. That's really great.
Yeah.
Justin, do you have any last questions of Fanya before we let her get back to a contemporary day?
Yeah, no, no, thank you so much. That was wonderful. That
Thank
No,
was
this is
really
you.
huge. Yeah, it's really huge, Fanya. How you managed to get through all of that in the last 30 minutes
yeah.
is beyond me. That just shows your level of energy
Yeah.
and just enthusiasm. I think that's the thing. There are people out there that are very smart, but there are also people that are just genuinely enthusiastic and curious about a subject, and you're definitely all of the above. So we look forward to hearing more of your work. Can we find your recordings on your website? Is that where we
Yes,
would go to
definitely.
find? Yeah,
Yes,
and
fanyalin.com.
yeah,
And you'll find them in the homepage. Yeah.
the homepage.
Hmm.
Okay,
And I
excellent.
can send you the links as well.
Yeah, please do keep in touch. You should definitely come back and speak some more, especially
Yes,
once
I
our
will.
festival is underway.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's
Yes.
Yeah,
all
it'd be
right.
great to have you.
Be good, right? Well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so
thank you
much.
so much. Yeah, thank you to all our listeners. Do tune in again soon for episode 5. But if you have any questions, do forward them either to us or through to Fanya. I know she'll be super helpful and happy to help you guys out with any of these questions for contemporary music. Until the next episode, thanks again, Fanya. Take care.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
See you
Bye.
later.